All right, it is JC King, another Least Dangerous podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am here on Texas Country Month continues, or I should say Red Dirt Month. But we have got on the phone with us an amazing singer-songwriter, the man behind the bands The Departed and Cross Canadian Ragweed. In my opinion, the king of Red Dirt music. It's the one and only Cody Canada. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, man. That's a heck of an introduction.
I try to set it up right for the people. I try to get, damn it, it's exciting. We're talking to you here on the podcast. This is exciting stuff, man.
Well, thanks, man.
I saw on your Facebook page, see, this is the weird thing about social media. Are you on the way to Iowa right now? Is that right?
Yeah, I played a show in Austin last night with Jamie Johnson and friends. And then right now we're stopped in Wichita to let our driver sleep, and then we play Iowa tomorrow night. That
seems like just a hell of a long drive on a tour bus. Like, what, you've been on those for so long and done them for so long, I'm sure it's just life for you. But what the hell do you do on those things to not go insane?
Well, there's a lot of Grand Theft Auto video games. We play a lot of that. In the front lounge, we don't really have a cable or anything. That's a waste of money to everybody in this clan.
Yeah.
We don't watch TV, and
no keeping up with the Kardashians for the road crew.
No, I can care less what the Kardashians are up to. Rich people whining about being rich.
Yeah. So just video games and hanging out.
Yeah, and the back lounge is all vinyl records, and we have guitars strapped to the wall, and so we sit around and write tunes and play old songs and listen to vinyl, and just.
There you go.
We've all known each other for years. Jeremy Plato is my brother-in-law and my oldest friend in the world.
Yeah.
And him and I have been playing music for 20 years together. Man, it's the same. We never get sick of each other. It's always the same thing. We can sit and sing the same tunes together in the back lounge.
Has it chilled out, though? Like when you were younger, I'm sure it was like more partying on the road. Are you like drinking wheatgrass juice and talking about yoga and stuff, or?
There's none of that. No, it's still pretty high cost out here.
Thank God.
We go pretty fast. If we have a day off, I've always been this way. If a day off's a day off. Some people like to go to the bar and get drunk or whatever on a day off, but I don't know. That's never really. I've done it every now and then, but
yeah,
the nights that we play music are the nights that I really throw down.
Well, it's good to hear at least, because I get tired. I grew up on rock and roll music, man, and bands like AC/DC and stuff like that. And to me, it was all about the party. And then, I'll every now and then I'll talk to a guy who's been like, no, we just play chess and we, drink a lot of like Nutrisystem. And, I'm like, what the hell?
No.
What the hell happened to the party?
No, it's still here. I promise you.
All right, good to hear it.
Last night was acoustic. Not really acoustic. I played with Jamie Johnson's band. We did a tribute to Waylon Jennings and Hank Cochran, and, it spilled over into the evening, and we were up till about 6 in the morning.
Jesus. So you're waking up right about now, then? This is your wake-up phone call?
I'm an insomniac. I've been up since about 9.
Oh, there you go. So, Jamie Johnson, do you guys ever, because this is what I would do. Now, when dudes are hanging out, just dudes, I'm assuming you know the guy really well, right?
I've recently, he reached out to me a couple of months ago, and I was very shocked that he did, because I'm such a fan. And he asked me to be a part of this benefit concert. And last night we talked for a long time, and he wants to do more work, more gigs in Texas and stuff. And I told him, just call me up. I'm there anytime.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I guess you don't. You're right there at the beginning stage of getting to know somebody then, so you can't do it yet. But I'm telling you, once you're really good friends with Jamie Johnson, you got to give him some kind of shit about the honky-tonk badunkadunk. It's got to happen at least once.
Well, the thing is a long time ago, I accidentally popped off in a bar. He bought everybody a shot of Jägermeister and toasted honky-tonk badunkadunk.
Holy moly.
And I said, why in the hell would you toast that song? And he said, I wrote it, and I felt so bad. I felt so bad because I wasn't prepared. But I talked to him about it, and he's forgiven me.
Well, there you go. So you already did that one then. You can check that off the bucket list. That's I told. I was talking to Mike McClure when I interviewed him, and I told him, I was making the same joke about writing a song like that, and he's like, "Hell no, man! I'd like to have at least one song like that because then I could live off that kind of money, you know." So he was cool if you can cash the checks at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah, there's something to be said about mailbox money, you know.
Yeah. I also want to thank you for turning me on to Todd Snyder. You'd covered a couple of his tunes on some of your previous records, and now I've downloaded basically everything he's done. Holy crap, is Todd Snyder awesome, man.
Yeah, I saw him, excuse me, I got a bit of the allergy thing.
No worries.
I saw him on Conan O'Brien in 1994. I was living at home. I was 17 years old, and I saw him on Conan O'Brien, and I thought, holy hell, who is this guy? And about a year passed, and fast forward to Stillwater, and I was up there running with McClure and Tony and Jason Boland and everybody, and we decided to hop in a rented van and go down to Lukenbach, Texas, and see Todd in concert, and it just forever changed my life.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just him and a guitar, right?
How he sings, how he approaches life. He's awesome.
Yeah, Todd Snyder kicks ass, man. So I would never heard him, though, if it hadn't been for you. And so I get the feeling, if you know, like Todd, and because of you, I've also listened to Mike McClure's music. I was going to ask you who else I should be listening to. It seems you got a pretty good grip on music, man.
We're very fortunate now because there's a guy that my wife's been managing Jeremy and I for 17 years.
Yeah.
And she has Charlie Robinson, and she's had Randy Rogers. She's got all kinds of people. Mike McClure even. And there's a band called the Gourds. They were around for like 20 years. And their lead singer, Kevin Russell, started a band called Shiny Ribs about 3 years ago or so. Okay. And the Gourds are now defunct, and Shiny Ribs is on a real fast track. They're just, man, it's so, this is going to sound so silly, but the man is a songsmith for one. He's a musician. He's an entertainer. But this is going to sound so weird. You got to see it. I mean, YouTube it. It's Shiny Ribs doing Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
Oh, yeah.
The old TLC song, I think that's who did it.
Yeah.
And he just completely owns it and turned it into his own thing. You know, he does it completely different. The man can take any song and transform it into his own. And if you see one of his shows and you walk out there in a bad mood, then you're the problem.
So is it the band called Shiny Ribs, or is that the act? Is it just one guy, or?
It's a full band. It's called Shiny Ribs.
Shiny Ribs, man. Cody, Canada. You turned me on to Todd Snyder, so I'll check that out, man. I'll see how it is, man.
You won't be disappointed.
Going from a band that was like, so I know when you were with Cross Canadian Ragweed, I have to ask this, by the way. You know how people used to call it, you've heard this before, CCR? That used to piss my dad off to no end because he said, there's only one CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Did you ever think that, or were you, did you ever hear that before?
Oh, I heard it 1,000. I still hear it. Oh, you know, that's what's funny is I spent 16 years, well, even more now. This would have been the 20th year of that band. Yeah. And I spent forever, you know, telling people that, yeah, I'm a fan of Creedence, and I was a fan of Fogerty, but when we named the band, it had nothing to do with it. Yeah. You know, it was just three members of the band. Yeah. And it was all of our names combined. And then, you know, there was a time when we got a warning shot from Creedence Clearwater Revisited.
Oh, really?
And not to sound like a dick, but I was not very scared of that. I said, you know, if John Fogerty comes calling, then I'm going to probably start looking for a lawyer. And then we did a gig with Fogerty in Santa Barbara, California. And he walked backstage with his drummer, Kenny Arnoff, and Seymour Duncan, who, you know, he invented the guitar pickups. The three of those powerful men walked in the backstage. Yeah. And when I saw him, I got hot faced and thought, oh, man, here it is. And he said, it sure is nice to be back together with the real CCR. And I thought, holy hell, man. I can't believe I just heard that.
He also hates Creedence Clearwater Revisited, apparently.
He was very cool with it, and
That's awesome.
I breathed real hard, and I said, I've been worried all day that you were going to say something. I said, we never, ever advertised CCR. It was just something that people called us, and we never, if it was on merchandise, we shut it down,
Yeah. You said you used it using 3 last names from the members of the band. Well, did you leave Plato out? How do you feel about that? What happened there?
Well, they always called Ragville. They always called him Randy Ragweed. That was his nickname in high school. So it just made more sense. Jeremy was it. If you know Jeremy, you know exactly how he is. He's the most laid-back skater in the world, man.
Yeah.
He knew it sounded good, so he went with it.
Cool, man. Was it like an interesting transition after things ended with Cross Canadian Ragweed and you started your new band, The Departed? Was it a hard transition? Like how was it? Because I'm assuming you'd probably never done that before. So what was that like in switching over?
No, I've never done it. I guess we all started it, but we were all in the very beginning of Ragweed. It wasn't people hiring people or whatever. We just all sat together and played one day and said, all right, we got a band.
Yeah.
And that's all I ever knew until I was, 35 years old. And so the transition was a little scary. There was about 2 days there that I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And I went to Jeremy's house and I said, what are we going to do? And he said, we're going to keep playing music. We're going to find some people that want to jam. We're going to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right. We are. And there was a lot of people confused with the first record that we put out, but it was all of a tribute record to all the Oklahoma people that we knew.
Yeah.
There was only 2 people on that album that the world knew, and that was Leon Russell and J.J. Cale. The rest were people that we grew up with and we still know.
I like those Tom Skinner songs you had on those. Those were killer, man.
It really easily could have been a Tom Skinner record.
Yeah.
Just a tribute to him. And I think that needs to happen one day. But,
yeah.
We were going to do that with Ragweed, but we were under a contract with Universal Records, and they told us if we put that out that they were going to shelve it and never see the light of day. So
oh, Jesus.
We didn't want to go through that. They said they wanted original songs. They said these are original songs. They're not our original songs.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're putting out an album that's, a tribute to Skinner or something. This is people we knew. These are our friends. These are people that when they have medical issues, bands join together and pay for their hospital bills. And they still wouldn't do it. So we were pretty bummed about it, but we didn't want it to get ugly, so we just didn't do it.
Yeah.
So as soon as Ragweed broke up, that was our perfect time to do that record. And a lot of people thought, well, you're not writing anymore, and and you're going a different direction. But I always say, if Ragweed would have done it, nobody would have thought anything of it.
Yeah.
But now I didn't want it to be like the second version of Ragweed. I didn't want it to be all the same songs and no original.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was kind of cheating, and for about 3 years, we only did a couple of Ragweed tunes. Excuse me. And then when Seth James said he was going back to play the blues, that's when I thought, I'm gonna start talking to people and see what they want. And then I talked to this lady in California named Lori.
Yeah.
Who her words will forever ring through my head. I asked her, I said, man, you've been a devoted friend and fan for a long, long time, and you're from California. Do you miss the tunes? And she said, it's not the band I miss, it's the songs I miss. And you and Jeremy are still there, so I'm not really missing the band. I'm missing the songs, and we want to hear them again.
Yeah.
I said, done deal. And I got home from California and called up the guys and said, man, let's handpick about 30 songs, keep writing new tunes, get ready for the next record. But let's have 30 songs in our back pocket that if somebody says, hey, we want to hear this, then we'll pull it out and save the day.
Yeah.
And really now, I mean, it's been 4 years, and now it's really, in my opinion, settling. This band is finally becoming what it is, because now we're in the studio, and we've got 12 tunes that are all our songs, and our way of doing it, no producer, just us, just a band making music. And I think once this record comes out, everybody's going to realize what we are.
That's awesome.
Realizing right now, that this band is finally settled, and it's us.
Was it one of those things that when you first started going on the road, you weren't playing any ragweed tunes? Like did you find the audiences were receptive, or were they like, what the hell is this? Or
there was more, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Was anything. There was, I said Jason Bowling thing earlier. He's one of my best friends in the whole world. I've known him forever. And
yeah.
When I went out on that same California run I was talking about, he said, man, I knew you were going to piss some people off. Like, well, I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He goes, but man, these are your tunes, your songs.
Yeah.
You play them. And I said, well, I'm a slow learner. It takes me a while. But there was people that accepted it, and then there was people that wouldn't even. There's still people that won't even hear it because they won't accept it. And I wish they would. Especially with the next record, because the next record is. It's back to me singing all the tunes and Plato singing all the harmonies, and there's no outside. There's no outside musicians. It's just the four of us playing music together.
Well, I think one of the cool things, I wanted to tell you a quick little story, because this is where I realized. So I was in Texas in like the 2005, 2006 time period where like you couldn't go anywhere in Texas without everybody talking about the Cross Canadian Ragweed Band. It was insane, and it was like the number one thing out there. I move up to Kansas for like 6 years and come back, and the whole Red Dirt scene has changed. When I was in Kansas, 2007, 2008, Cross Canadian Ragweed played a music festival in Manhattan, Kansas. Do you remember Country Stampede?
Oh, yeah. I remember it well.
I think you played it 2007, 2008, and here's what I remember, and it stuck out like I think I've quoted you since then. You guys played 2 shows on the same day. You played a main stage show like at 3 p.m. or something like that. And then at night, you went onto the second stage and played like a much longer set. And it was like, there was such a stark difference. I remember hoping that wasn't your only show at 3, because it was like, this just doesn't feel like Cross to me. This doesn't feel like Cody Canada's band. And then we went around to the second stage, and I think you said, if I could play to 500 people any night, anywhere in the country, it's basically all I need to be happy. And I was like, holy crap, this is like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Well, that's the truth. The one thing that I'm thankful for is that, because there were some really, really big audiences for us. But the thing is the bigger they got, the more unhappy I was. That sounds like keeping up with the Kardashians. I didn't want to. It's hard to relate to somebody that you can't see, and if you can't see everybody's face, then it's really hard to get. I think being in a band and being in the audience, it's only going to work if everybody's in it together.
Yeah. Like
the musicians are with the band is with the crowd's with the musicians. It works that way.
Yeah.
Everybody joining together. When you got 4,000, 5,000 people, that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
I've only seen a few bands pull it off. I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, and when they play for those massive crowds, I go every time they're in Texas. Excuse me?
It works when they do it?
Yeah, it works. It works, But when it's like 500 people tops, that's the best to me.
Yeah.
That's everybody's intermingling and talking and buying each other drinks and.
Well, it's just a cool vibe, man.
Or smoking weed.
Yeah. I will tell you that what I thought, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm going to say kind of like why I thought it was weird watching it on the big stage. I felt like you weren't as into it, playing like in between, like, I can't remember, but playing like in between like Terry Clark and Tracy Lawrence or something, but it didn't feel like you, and I don't think you were even that into it. And when I saw you later that night, it was like, okay, this is my crowd, this is my audience, this is where I'm supposed to be.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that I always had issues with the record label was stop calling us country, because we're not country. We may have country music tendencies, and we might, we were all influenced from Merle Haggard to The Who, or from Little Feat to, Slayer. I mean, it was everywhere. But I kept telling them, don't advertise us as country, because the people that like this music really don't like country music.
Yeah.
They have a completely different outlook on what country music is than we do.
Yeah.
Playing between acts like that, nothing against those people.
Yeah.
It was just that square peg and a round hole thing.
Yeah.
But when we got to do our own thing, and it's like, okay, would you play how long? 2 hours max? Then we're on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely cool seeing it like that, and I could tell that. I wondered if you ran into a lot of that when kind of things had hit their peak, and you had the major label deal and all that stuff. If they were trying all the time to keep, saying, well, you got to sound this way, or you got to fit into this mold. Like if that was a constant, and it sounds like it was a constant struggle you were always having, trying to be your own artist.
It was, and now we've had a couple of people mention, hey, there's a record label, a company that's talking about you guys. Like, man, thanks, but no thanks. We already did that, and nowadays you don't need it, because we learned the hard way, and we were warned by our friends. Be careful how you do this.
Yeah.
And so where we are, we're very careful. And we never did anything that we didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that we told the label, is that you can sit and tell us to do this and do that and change this and change that. We're going to smile and nod our head and do what the fuck we want to do. Sorry.
No, it's a podcast. Go for it.
No, okay, right on.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Well,
but that now they've tried to, we've had label people reach out and say, we don't need you.
Yeah.
I mean, why? In my book, I always talked about turning my radio off years ago.
Yeah.
And I realized that I did. I still talk about it, but now I realize that I actually did turn my radio off about 7 years ago and stopped listening to the radio. And now I listen to my hometown Americana radio station and take it with me on my phone, and then I listen to satellite radio because I'm the driver. I'm the DJ.
Yeah.
And Pandora's and all that. And people bitch about not getting paid through Pandora's and not getting paid through iHeart and whatever. Quit complaining about it. You're reaching thousands of people.
Yeah.
Just because you're not getting your $27 or whatever it is you're paid for ever having to spend, it's not really that much.
Well,
gig. You have to go gig.
Yeah.
Get out and play your shows. And if Pandora, it reaches all over the world.
Yeah.
What do you have to bitch about? You're further along. 25 years ago, people would be killing to get that kind of exposure.
Well, an independent artist now, it's the reason that I've got a podcast now. I was in the radio game for a long time just doing straight country DJ work, and it just became where you had like 5 seconds to talk between a song, or you couldn't do, long form, actually interesting interviews with people like this. And so I was like, I want to do something on my own, build an audience. And because of the internet, I can go out and build an audience and do my own thing. And you can do the same thing now with your band, where you don't need any labels anymore, really. You can build it because of the internet. Once you have the audience, then you can figure out how to make money off of them.
Yeah. Yes, it's really in our hands. I say in our hands, not personally ours. It's everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to one single person. You have a good manager, you have a good band, and then you become friends with people like yourself.
Yeah.
And people like at Sirius, and then you all work together. I talked to Dallas Wayne from Outlaw Country last night for an hour.
Yeah.
And, he said, man, we play people's MP3s. We play people's home recordings, phone recordings. We just want to spread the word.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. 2 quick questions, and then I'll let you go because I don't want to take up all your time. I know you're kind of off work now. I wanted to ask you, with the old band, I don't know how things ended up. It's kind of a little bit mysterious, but is everything cool with everybody now, or did it end like the Eagles, where you can't, like Joe Walsh and Don Henley won't talk to each other anymore or something?
You know, I've talked to the other dudes. We miss it, and you know, it wasn't as great as we wanted it to end.
Yeah.
But, you know, nobody. You know, we can be in the same county.
Yeah. I got you.
It's all good.
It's always weird. Anytime anything ends, though, I mean, an ending by its nature can't be entirely, seamless. So stuff is bound to happen, you know?
Well, that's why we told everybody, you know, we didn't want to say, hey, the band's breaking up.
Yeah.
Because automatically people think negative. And yes, there were some negative things, but not as negative as people were letting on.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard rumors from everything where I was offered solo contracts that I was cheating on my wife. I've heard all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, it's always going to come down to be my fault somehow anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's what the last thing I want to know is, what do you have lined up? You're working on the new record now. What can people expect in 2014 with The Departed? What's going on there?
Well, we are actually in the middle of recording right now. I think we're a little further than the middle. And it's all us. We're doing it as stripped down as possible. Stripped down meaning instead of doing 7 guitar parts, it's 2, you know, and instead of 5 or 6 piano parts, it's 2. You know, it's exactly what you hear live.
Yeah.
And it's all our music. And right as of now, we don't have any. You know, I like to put at least one cover on a record just to let people know what we did.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do that. It's fun to play those songs. But right now, you know, we're rolling ahead with just 12 songs that are us.
Cool.
So it'll be out October-ish is what I'm thinking.
Cool. So October, new album from The Departed. I'm going to tell you the coolest thing about talking to you, Cody, is that you can tell. I could always kind of tell, but definitely in talking to you, I can really tell that at the end of the day, I think this is what people appreciate the most about you. You're a real no bullshit kind of dude. You know, you'd rather, like I said, you're not a Kardashian type. You're more about the music than anything. And it's just awesome getting to talk to people that still feel that way about their art, you know?
Well, you know, a long time ago when I was in Stillwater and watching all these bands come through, my wife and I were kind of scouting these bands and bringing them to Stillwater because we dug them and we thought everybody else did, and it worked, you know, for basically all those bands.
Yeah.
But there were some people that were assholes.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, man, if anybody ever in our organization is a bigger dick as those people, then we need to have serious talk.
Yeah.
I mean, this is music, you know, it's whether it's negative lyrics and crunchy guitars or it's peaceful folky stuff, you know. I mean, be nice to people.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to come see you.
There you go.
It's just easy. It's easy. It's easier to be nice than it is to be an asshole. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, that's the perfect stamp. It's easier to be nice than it is to be an asshole. Are you in Texas now? You live in Texas or you live in Oklahoma?
I live in New Braunfels, Texas. My wife and I, on that May 3rd, 99 tornado, that first Moore tornado. Yeah. She's a California girl, and she was so terrified that she was developing a anxiety disorder. Yeah. So I said, man, if we're going to have kids and do this, you know, be with each other forever, then I'm going to get you out of here. So we moved south. You know, Jason Baldwin moved down to Austin. Stoney moved down there, and we thought, you know, let's keep this all together and let's move, you know. And it wasn't nothing against Oklahoma. It just I wanted to go further south. So I didn't have to worry about throwing my kids in a hole, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Is it? This will be. I promise. This is the last question. Is it douchey though? I've been a Texan my whole life, and until I moved to Kansas for 6 years, I didn't know the term red dirt existed. I called it Texas country and was a real douchebag about it, like a lot of Texans are. You know, we make our waffles the shape of our state. So, is it still legitimately okay to call it Texas country?
You know, I'll tell you what should be in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Red dirt music is Oklahoma music. Texas music is Texas music. And luckily, the two have combined forces and are sharing audiences together. But that great Bob Childers called it red dirt music because the music was as pure as the dirt was red, is what he said. And that's why Bolin and I started telling everybody, what is it? It's Oklahoma music, but, you know, they call it red dirt.
That's the final verdict.
It's one and the same, but, you know, to put it in a dictionary form, Oklahoma music, red dirt.
So there you go. The Oklahoma boy calls it Texans are douchebags. Get over it.
I didn't say that. I'm getting in trouble.
Thank you so much for joining me, man. It's been a blast.
You got, man. Have a good day. I'm going to go watch Godzilla.
There you go. Good luck. Enjoy that. Bye.